Hello everybody and welcome back for another F1 2020 video. Today we are with the Racers 1 Championship in their league. It's a brand new league, it's just started, and we are at round 1 in Australia. We've chosen the McLaren, our favourite team. We are new to this league as everyone is, so we've never raced with anyone in this league before, so we don't really know what to expect coming into this. Just having a quick look at strategy, I reckon we can do a quite easy one stop. Softs straight to mediums is the quickest time. It was one lap qualifying, one shot qualifying, and we did very well actually. We ended up getting pole position. So without further ado, let's get into the race. 5 lights and away we go. As we bog down initially, then get just a little bit of wheel spin, and it allows the AlphaTauri in second place to get up beside us, go at the inside, gives us a little nudge, and he has better traction coming out the corner, and we have dropped down to second. As we pop to a replay now, it's a pretty reasonable getaway. I mean, a bit disappointed to drop to second, however, it could have been an awful lot worse. We've got, we didn't get run out too far wide. Nice clean racing in the first corner. So let's see whether we can get the position back at all, as we're all over the back of him still on this first lap. Run a little bit wide, but we get away with it there. Tucking in behind in his slipstream. We don't want to make a move too early. I want to see where he's weak at compared to me, and actually make a move sort of accordingly. But as you can see, we're already starting to gap the cars behind us quite a lot. So this is very, very quickly becoming a 2-horse race already, and it's not even the end of lap 1. You see a 1.7 second gap, 1.8 second gap even behind us. As we go to a fast forward, you can see I'm just hanging on to the back of him, just seeing where he's strong, where he's weak, where we're strong as well, and just lining up when we might be able to make a move. Obviously, we're waiting for DRS to become enabled. Yeah, it's a bit too early for that. And as we come into this awkward right-hander, we end up locking up and running very wide over the grass, lose a hell of a lot of time. Like we lose about 1.5 seconds, nearly 2 seconds to the leader. We've got a big enough gap behind us that we don't lose any more positions. But we end up finding that, I don't know what it was, but I was really, really struggling on the brakes, and particularly in that awkward right-hander. Don't know why. It went by the end of the race, but for the first half of the race, I was really struggling in that corner, and every single time, as you will see, we end up locking up coming into that corner, and having sort of problems with it running wide or losing an awful lot of time. That seems to be a problem area today, as we set fastest lap of the race by 4 tenths. We start closing in the gap once again to the AlphaTauri. He is a very, very quick driver, but it feels like at this point we do have the pace over him, because although with that mistake we've dropped a bit of time to him, we do manage to crawl that time back again slowly. We go to a little fast forward, just running a little bit wide there, but not too much of an issue. And again, we come into this awkward right-hander, we get it all wrong on the brakes, we run a little bit wide and lose yet more time again. And then next lap we do exactly the same, run a little bit more wide again. And the following lap, on lap 7, we're still doing the same. It's becoming, as we get a snap of oversteer coming out the corner, it's becoming a real problem for us. And I cannot figure out as why that is the case. But we skip ahead, we're going on to lap 8 now. We have closed the gap to just under a second as we go through this first corner. You see we're getting an awful lot of time through that first corner. We're getting a good sort of 3-4 tenths on him through there. Nice and late on the brakes. He cuts a little bit, loses the back end. I think at this point he's perhaps struggling for his rear tyres a bit more than me. I'm feeling like we're doing pretty well as we run wide, lose the back end and nearly put it in the wall. So we pop to a slow motion replay here. You can see I just got all 4 wheels on the curb and very, very quick snap of oversteer. We were very lucky and very quick reactions to catch that, but that was a heart-stopping moment indeed. As we fast forward now, as you can see, despite that moment, we are still within a second. We now have DRS on the AlphaTauri, so this will help sort of drag us along, keep us in touch. But I don't want to necessarily go for a move just yet. We want to we want to wait for the moment, the right moment on that one. We don't want to send a silly dive bomb up the inside and ruin both of our races. This guy is very quick. We're not entirely sure what he races like either. But as we come in towards the second corner, we've got DRS. We fake a move at the inside, but he's not falling for it. He's wise to that move, as you can see. So this guy seems like he is a bit of an experienced racer. So we might have our work cut out getting past him. We do have the pace over him, but it's not enough to really get a nice overlap and make a nice clean overtake just yet. So we do a little bit of fuel saving. We don't have that much spare fuel. We did run under-fueled a little bit. So we're going to save a bit of fuel, just sit behind him, use the DRS to tow us along a little bit. As you see, we pop on to the end of lap 9, start of lap 10. We're still within a second, and he's just towing us along nicely. We've built a massive gap to the guys behind. It's now 12.7 seconds to the last spot on the podium, which gives us a little bit of breathing space, really. If we end up making an error or anything, we're not likely to lose any more positions.
Gap to teammate behind is 36.8 seconds.
He manages to steal a little bit of a march on us through this first sector. You can see I'm down on my personal best time. But as we come to this right-hander, he locks up, just gets a little bit on the curb, but puts too much power down, and he ends up losing the back end and putting it in the wall. He's taken off his front wing, and that gives us the lead of the race. And all the while, at the same time, as we hop to a replay of that again, I ended up cutting the corner, running a bit wide, and getting myself a 3-second time penalty, which is not ideal. But we do have the lead of the race now, as you can see, and we've gapped him quite a bit because of that, and he also has front wing damage, so he is going to have to pit this lap. I decide that it is best to stay out. I could pit to save or to prevent myself from being undercut, but as you can see, we've got a 5-second gap now by the time he's going to get to the pits. So I think we can afford to stay out another couple of laps and have fresher tyres in the second half of this race to fight with, especially with that 3-second time penalty that is now looming over our heads. But as we go on to lap 11, the safety car comes out. My teammate bins it in the wall. We just negotiate a back marker. I'm not sure it does let us lap him despite being under safety car. I'm not sure what that was all about. He was going very slowly, but we decide we have no option really. We're going to have to pit. It's going to be race over if we don't. And as we came into the pits, I'm not really sure what happened there, but it gives us another warning for corner cutting. As the McLaren boys get to work onto mediums, we should be able to make them last fairly easily to the end of the race. We come back out in the lead pretty comfortably at this point, as you would expect. We'll skip on to lap 14, and halfway through we get a message: safety car is in this lap. At this point I'm a little bit nervous. I've never done a safety car restart from the front of the field. I've always been in second or third or fourth, just behind pretty much every time. So this is new territory for me. We try to get a little bit of heat in the tyres. I think I ran a bit too fast. I probably should have slowed it down somewhat, but nevertheless, just trying to get, we've got that 3-second gap. So the plan is here is if we can bolt as quickly as we can in the first few laps and build a gap over the AlphaTauri behind us. We did have the pace on them in the first stint. Let's see what we've both got on fresh medium tyres as we decide to go just before the last corner. We're a bit slow getting our overtake on, and the rich fuel mixture, which does leave us a little bit vulnerable, but we are okay. And as we head into the first corner, we managed to gap him a little bit more. We get a much better run through there. The time delta on the top left does stay frozen. It doesn't change, not sure why, just an issue with the game on this lap. It will change by the end of the lap. But as you can see in the mirror behind, we are starting to gap him already. We've got our fresher tyres on as we go purple in sector 1. We've got our fresher tyres on, and we are starting to pull a gap from him already, which is exactly what we need to do right now. We do end up again having a little problem with on the brakes into that right hander. Doesn't lose us too much, but it's not ideal. As we'll fast forward now for the rest of the lap. We asked what the fastest lap is. I'm not entirely sure why I did that. I think just a moment of being silly, because I currently held the fastest lap at that point. But nonetheless,
The gap is less than a second.
we nearly matched it. We're only 3/10 behind, and that was on cold tyres, so it's not bad. And as you can see, as we jump forward onto lap 17, we've now got the gap up to 1.5 seconds as DRS is enabled. Yeah, jump forward another lap, we got it up to 2.2 seconds, so we are doing exactly what we need to do. We're gapping him. Coming on the end of lap 18, we set purple middle sector, and we're also up 2.8 seconds. So we nearly got that 3-second gap. We are nearly there. With 10 laps to go, we only need another 0.3 to gain on him, so we've got this in the bag. But after then, we start struggling for pace all of a sudden. I think we were just trying a little bit too hard. And as you can see, we go to a replay. We end up, as you can see, lose the back end massively. We're just pushing that a little bit hard. And he starts gaining a couple of tenths on us in the last couple of laps. So we've lost that momentum, unfortunately. I think my battery isn't that high. I have used a lot of it. As we skip end of lap 21 now, he's got the gap down to 2 seconds already, and I'm starting to struggle for pace over him. He's got the measure on me at this stage in the race. 1.9 seconds now as we skip another lap, and I'm starting to get a little bit worried. We do go purple in the last sector, so there was a little bit there, but we end up in frustration. We cut the first corner and get ourselves another time penalty, so it's now 6 seconds. So that is the lead of this race gone. That is this race win over now. There is no way we're going to get that. We were struggling enough for 3/10, but we let's get our head down. We've got nothing to lose now. We've got a nice 8.8 second gap to third place, who has penalties anyway. So let's see what we can manage. And as you can see through already the first half of this lap, we've already pulled the gap out to 2.5 seconds. And at this stage in the race, the momentum starts to swing back in our favour. Although we do have that extra time penalty, we start getting the gap back out again. As you can see, coming on the end of lap 23, it's 2.7 seconds. And as we go on to lap 24, we go through the first corner and the virtual safety car comes out. Our time delta is 2.8, 2.7 as we go into the virtual safety car. But as we come out, he must have got a bad restart because it's gone all the way up to 3.7, 3.8 seconds now, the gap. So we've got a much better run through that virtual safety car. We must have timed it a lot better coming out of that than the AlphaTauri behind us. So that's helped get that gap above 3 seconds, but we don't have many laps remain, and as you can see, we're on lap 25 now of 29. But this race isn't over yet. He could make a mistake. He's been ultra consistent up to this point, and our pace has been good, and like I say, the momentum's in my favour now. So let's see what we can do. Let's not give up. Let's keep pushing for the fastest lap time we can get, and see how big we can get that gap out. As we go purple into sector 1, we've got to negotiate a few AI cars that are ghosting. It is a bit off-putting, but we managed to get past them fairly quickly into this awkward right-hander onto the straight that's not a straight. We've got 2 people battling up ahead that we're about to lap. We go personal best in the middle sector of the lap. We get past one of the AI cars, And we got a Williams who pulls out very kindly out the way for us. I know it's ghosting, but it is incredibly off-putting. So thank you very much for him. That's very sensible and fair. Nice and neat and tidy. This is a very good lap indeed. We're holding the current fastest lap on a 124.9. Let's see what we can manage as we cross the line. We do a 124.4. That's very impressive, and we've also got the gap out to 4.6 seconds now. So we're doing really, really well. We do lose a bit of time in the next lap. Unfortunately, back down to 3.8. And then we start gaining another tenth or two in the next lap.
4.0 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 16 laps old. The time last lap was a 1 minute 24.8.
As we just asked Jeff for a little bit of information as to the gap, we got it back out to 5.1, 5.2. As we cross the finish line for the last lap of the race, it is 5.3 seconds. So it's so tantalisingly close. We have nothing to lose. We've got a 17-second gap to third place. We've lost first place as it stands. So let's go for it on this last lap. If we end up spinning, I think we're still guaranteed to finish in second place. So we've got nothing to lose. And as we go through the first sector, we get a nice run. It's now 5.7 seconds, nearly 5.8 seconds. This is going to be very close as we cross the finish line. Go personal best in sector 1. This awkward right-hander we've been struggling with all race. Let's just take it a little bit easier through here. And we do. A little bit of wheel spin on the way out, but it doesn't lose as much time. We've got the gap out. It's now 5.9 seconds. It's so, so close. Can we get that 6 seconds by the finish line? Nice run through those high-speed chicane. Down into the last sector we go. Hooking this fast right-hander up. Very nice indeed. Use a bit of a curb. Get the car over to the right-hand side. Round the last corner. It's still 5.8, 5.9 seconds. If anything, he's gaining on me a little bit through that sector. We're running up to the line and to take the checkered flag, and we do. But as he goes round the last corner, he ends up losing a lot of time and also gets himself a 3-second time penalty at the same time. So just as we cross the finish line, we have snatched the victory back. And that is our first race win in a racing league. I am super happy with that. And coming on to that last lap, I thought we had lost it, as we do a terrible celebration up on the podium. But we are super happy. So what a great race we had today. That obviously leaves us first overall in the standings, but it's only the first round and anything can happen from now on. But it's the best possible start we could have got off to. So let's see what next week brings us. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you could please like and subscribe, that would be brilliant. And I'll leave you with some of my favourite screenshots from the race.